This is the second episode
of our 5-episode series
on the hierarchy of needs
and how those needs consume our minds and focus.
Unfortunately, we have little brain energy to focus on our future.
Which leads us right back to the hamster wheel
Day after day after day after today.
Today, we are talking about the second level of needs.
Our need to be safe. Oh, it's a good one.
Let's dig in, bro.
Let's dig in.
I'm Jonathan Noel.
And I'm Brian Noel.
This is Forms and Focus.
Where we provide guided forms that manifest radical focus. Where we want you and ourselves, quite often, to be focused as boy. So here's what we talked about in episode 41. Our brains have limited capacity to focus, and it makes us tired when we do. That's right. We've got only a little bit of capacity in our brains to focus on one thing, even though we've got this mass plethora drive that stores all these memories and emotions and events that call up. We still are limited in what we can focus on any given time. And constantly focusing on short-term needs, guess what it does, bro?
Ooh.
Prevents us from focusing on the
Our
long-term
goals.
goals. That's what we're talking about here. Focusing on our dreams.
Bro.
Yeah.
So we're back on Maslow's pyramid.
That's right.
We talked about the very bottom.
Yep.
Basic
Moving up.
needs. Now we're going to talk about our desire to be safe.
That's right. Need to be safe, bro.
This
Need to
is
feel
from
safe.
simplypsychological.org.
Psychology.org.
This is from simplypsychology.org. Once an individual's physiological needs are satisfied, we focus on our need for security and safety.
Yeah, makes sense. Gather the food, protect the food.
Yep. People want to experience order, predictability, and control in their lives. For example, emotional security, financial security, employment, social welfare, law and order, freedom from fear, social stability, property, health, well-being. You get the gist.
That's right. I mean, it makes sense, right?
It makes sense because you're not going to build a shelter if you're starving, probably, unless the weather is so inclement that it will kill you.
Yes.
Does that make sense?
Kind of.
So am I even making a good point here? The point is you look at comfort or safety next.
Yes.
Because you can't be safe if you're dead.
That's right.
So you got to drink water and eat food at the bare minimum before you can focus on safety.
That's right. Yeah, it's like if you build a shelter and you've got a couple of weeks worth of food in there. Let's go kind of primitive here. But another tribe comes in the middle of the night to cut your face off. You're not going to sleep well.
Right.
So after you have that food and that shelter, naturally the next thing you're going to think about is safety.
Beefing up security.
And protecting it. It makes sense. So these needs can be fulfilled by family and society, right? Family makes us safe. Like,
true.
I'm going to be totally honest. I don't know if I could go out on a backpacking trip in the woods by myself, hundreds of miles away from everything else.
Yeah,
And
I wouldn't want to do that by myself.
I would not sleep at all. I'd be scared to death.
I would rather have a crew.
Yes, but when I go out, because we go camping, not that I've been like hundreds of miles out, but I've been to a mud bog, and that's pretty scary sometimes. But when I'm with my crew,
you're fine.
I sleep.
Yeah, absolutely.
I feel safe.
Yeah, exactly.
I feel like Trav Daddy, and those who know him know,
yeah, is
going to protect me.
Exactly.
That's right.
Or he's at least going to be the one who's attacked first because he's on the outer edge.
That's right.
Gives you a warning.
I always sleep away from the door. So police, schools, businesses, medical care, like all these things are associated with our desire to be safe.
So true. I mean, would we even mountain bike? Let's say there wasn't a hospital. Let's say hospitals didn't even exist. Would we even go mountain biking?
I'd go a lot slower.
I'd go a lot slower because if you break your bone, you have to go to like the guy in the town.
Duct tape and a 2x4.
So, we are at war with the need to be safe and those who want to exploit our fear of not being safe.
So back to the point of our podcast, which is our ability to focus on our dreams and accomplish those dreams. So this is an article that I found from Winkelmeyer. That is true. Sounds fake, but 54% said they're more fearful than hopeful about what's in store for the world in 2022. We talked about that in episode 23. Fear, and then we also talked about this, which was a crazy example, the Boston Marathon example.
Yep.
So here's what we learned from that. Those who consumed a considerable amount of media daily post the Boston Marathon had higher amounts of anxiety than those who were actually in the marathon.
Right, bro.
Crazy.
We talked about it's insane. So yeah, like we said, watching bombs going off all day on TV gives you more stress and anxiety than being by the bombs.
Yeah, which is pretty wild. So our desire to be safe can be, again, like
used against us.
Yeah, if you're not like a super conspiracy theorist, but I mean, let's just be honest. Our desire to be safe can be exploited for profit or for gain.
There's a reason they say it bleeds, it leads.
Yeah, 100%.
It's not just something that someone made up like, that sounds cool.
Yeah.
It gets more attention. It incites more emotion.
Yes. And let's say for those that are in an abusive relationship, that abuser typically or constantly tells you that you are worse off being away.
Yeah, you'll
So
never
you
find
endure
something.
that.
You'll never do better.
You're not good enough. You're not smart enough. You're
Yeah.
stupid. You'll be worse off. And so you stay in that because that feels more safe than going out, even though that person's a fucking liar and
Yeah.
you're being exploited.
100%, bro. It is pretty sick, and let's be real, that our basic human needs and desires, the needs and desires are being exploited for profit.
Yeah.
I mean, we, in the eyes of social media, we are just clicks and ad revenue.
Yeah.
And what gets the most engagement?
Yeah.
Fear and hate. So that's what the algorithm. Anyway, whatever. So, look at the next bullet. So, for a lot of people, they're in a constant fear state, which consumes your focus.
Yeah, this is why when I was researching these notes, that's why I wanted to bring this up. Fear takes an incredible amount of energy. So think about when you're asleep at night and you wake up because it sounds like someone's breaking in your house. Like your heart starts racing.
Oh, yeah.
And then you get up, you check the house, and then you play through all the scenarios in your head. Like, what would I do? What would I grab? How would I protect my family? That takes a ton of energy. Like, it zaps the energy out of your, like, physiologically takes energy away from your body when that happens.
Oh, yeah.
So if you think about the fact that we want to be safe, anytime something makes us feel unsafe, all that's doing is taking our energy away from our focus.
Yeah, definitely.
It's capturing our focus, which is taking our energy away from focusing on things that we may want to, which is our long-term goals.
So unless your long-term goal is to be in a constant state of fear.
Which sounds like torture, but I think most of us are in. I mean, think about it, dude. We're in 2022. Let's just name a few. Like, we don't get, even though anyone who knows us personally knows kind of our position on all this kind of stuff, we don't get into it too much on this podcast. We keep it kind of high level, but let's just talk about it. 2022. Right now, they're talking about the next pandemic.
Already.
They're talking about the financial crisis. They're talking about like all of these things that are absolutely going to destroy us. They talked about for months that Russia may have nuked us.
Yep.
Like a constant state of feeding us things that put us in a fear state.
Yeah. And you got to ask yourself why.
Yeah, why? And what the fuck?
Why? Because then you can't focus on things that matter.
Yeah, why?
Why? Because they sell more. There's more engagement.
More engagement.
More engagement. Isn't that sick? Does
That's-
anyone else think that's sick?
That's pretty gross.
I mean, come on, right? More engagement. They make money.
Yeah,
Whatever.
yeah. Anyway,
So,
we want you to focus on your dreams.
yeah. So, anyway.
What's the solution, bro?
Flee unsafe environments. So lucky for us, we don't have to worry about fleeing our country, at least not for now. I'm just kidding. Bad relationships, horrible jobs, people that you work for that are horrible, things of that nature.
Yeah. Anyone who puts you in that state that makes you feel unsafe.
And it's usually easier said than done, but
Of course.
it's like, are you just going to be miserable the rest of your life?
Yeah. Well, it would be, who knows? You may be listening to this podcast. You may be in a toxic relationship, but you probably are a really smart, brilliant person. You probably have really cool fucking ideas.
I like that you put the probably in there.
Yeah, I mean,
you might be smart. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, you may have a really cool business idea that you've dreamed about your whole life, but you fell into this terrible toxic relationship that's
It's just things that people want to do.
Yeah.
I mean, some people just want to have, an epic garden.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be anything crazy.
Yeah.
But if you're in a horrible relationship and you're stuck in some apartment in some city and they're like, I'm not moving and you're not leaving. And it's like, whatever. Maybe.
Whatever it is. So that's step one. If you're in that unsafe environment, do whatever you can. Get some good friends. Build that.
And it may take time to plan your exit strategy.
Yeah.
You may have to find some good friends who encourage you. And
yeah. You may have to go to a counselor, someone you feel safe with, to get out. But get out. Gosh. Stop consuming fear-mongering media.
This comes up, I think, about every second episode.
Yes.
Can you tell we don't watch the news?
Not at all.
I mean, what's the point, right?
Yeah.
If you watch the news, you're going to die in 3 days, basically. Except 3 days keeps going by and you're not dead. So then you're going to die in the next 3 days, but then you don't die. And then it just keeps going over and over and over.
We live in close to Atlanta. And so on YouTube and Hulu, where we have commercials, because the other platforms we don't have commercials, it's only 2 commercials right now.
What is it?
That's our 2 candidates for our November elections.
Yeah, of course.
One of them is a wife beater, and the other one is a money launderer. I'm serious, heart attack.
That sounds like a regular Tuesday for politicians, bro. Are you kidding me?
Like, that's the 2 ads that I see over and over again. It's like, okay.
And people are fighting over this with their family members. Like, I'm not talking to you ever again. You voted for the guy who launders money instead of the guy who beats his wife.
Yeah.
I can't believe you would do that.
It doesn't matter if he beats his wife. He's good for business. Oh, my God. It's terrible.
As if the politicians would ever give a shit about you.
I know.
It's like, you want to argue with your family?
I know.
If everything collapses, who's going to be there?
Yeah.
Oh, the governor's going to show up and be like, you need a hand, bro?
That's a good point.
Or is your family going to be there?
We in our community don't get along because these people who would never, ever be
Help
in our
you.
lives.
Dude, if they saw you and you needed help, they would look at you like
They
a
drive right by.
disgusting scum rat, degenerate, and just cruise on by.
Unless it was a media play.
Unless it was a media play for sure.
But that's a good point, man. We should stick together.
Oh,
Anyway.
dude.
All right, what's next?
So, acknowledge the truth. You may die today. There's little you can do.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mentioned that on the last episode.
that's right.
So, it is true. That's part of being, what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
Where you're grateful for everything?
Oh, yeah.
Gratitude.
Gratitude.
Yeah.
What do we say on our, what do we say? We were talking on the phone the other day. I was driving the kids around. I called you, and we were talking about probably something in our post-apocalyptic podcast that'll roll out next year. But I was like, what, you save 6 years worth of food, and then like right after the apocalypse you walk outside and someone shoots you in the face and takes all your food.
That's what we were talking about. So the moral of the story is you can prepare all you want for life, and I'm not saying you shouldn't prepare, but you don't have to overdo it.
Yeah,
because
you shouldn't obsess.
You shouldn't over-obsess because
prepare, but
it doesn't
don't
matter how
over-obsess.
much water, food, ammo you buy. If the end of the world really happens, you can walk outside and someone will just plug you right in the chest, and you probably won't even see them. They'll be 200 yards away, and they'll just steal all your stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be real.
Your first TT in the free post-apocalyptic world, and done.
Yeah. So
Anyway. So, okay, here's good. So we talked about in the last episode, when you have food, acknowledge that your basic needs are met. Same thing here. Acknowledge when you feel safe, why you feel safe, and just have gratitude about that safety.
yeah.
Acknowledge acknowledge that sense of safety, because that will help your brain. Again, just like we said last episode, it'll help your brain focus on the next layer up. Right?
Yep. So you acknowledge it, and then try to be cognizant of the fact that others are exploiting it.
Yes.
You know,
Be aware.
I just like to ask the money. I like to ask the question, who is making money off of this?
Yeah.
And then when you realize that,
That helps.
yeah,
So last bullet before we roll out of here is share your fears or lack of safety with solid friends. Express gratitude when you feel safe. When you don't feel safe, share that with friends.
yeah, it'll definitely help.
If you're in a bad job, just with your good friends.
Yeah.
Again, like your friends who care about your long-term goals and they want to see you be successful, not the other ones. Just share with them, like, man, I'm kind of worried that I'm going to lose my job. And
Yeah, and another point, real quick, is a lot of times when you're not asking for help or bringing things up, it's you don't want to be a burden, but you're not giving someone the choice to help you if they want to,
That's
because you
right.
haven't told them.
oh, that's so good.
You know, I mean, and I'm not saying be super needy about it and tell everyone everything and expect everything from everyone, but if you literally never tell anyone anything
Yeah.
because you don't want to be a burden, you're not giving them the option to help you at all,
Oh.
even though they might want to.
Yeah, that is good.
Whoa, bro.
People really struggle with that.
I struggle with that,
Yeah.
you know?
Hey, bro, you need anything?
Not in this moment.
All right. With that,
Hey,
let's go.
I don't want to be a burden, bro. Let's go. All right.